We are back here on the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show. I tell you what, I'm loving this Zoom thing. I really am. It gives me a chance to do some things that I probably wouldn't get a chance to do. Although Jerry Dickinson, who is running for Congress, I would have had a chance to talk to him anyway, but he's our guest today. By the way, next week, it does appear that we will be speaking to the man he's running against, Congressman Mike Doyle. So just so you know, it'll be a chance. You can listen to him this week. You can listen to the incumbent next week. So Jerry, talk to me about the campaign, because this is an interesting year. I mean, with social distancing, it affects how you campaign. Yet at the same time, you have gathered a lot of support within the Black community.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, we've been on the campaign trail over 12 months. So about 10 and a half months of that time prior to COVID-19, we were out door knocking, meeting thousands of voters. And so we'd already built an infrastructure of actually being on the ground, grassroots kind of campaign. So really now, once COVID-19 hit, it was about momentum. We weren't behind the eight ball. We were already ahead of the game. So with COVID-19 now, it's reaching back out to a lot of voters who we've already met, thousands of them, and reminding them, hey, mail-in ballots coming in, definitely get a vote out for us. But there's history here. Western Pennsylvania has never had an African-American congressperson. The eastern side of the state has had 6 African-American in Congress. We have had 0. And it's 2020. The district makes up 25% or so of African-American population. And that history is resonating with a lot of people, saying time for change, time for history. The last time was Byrd Brown. The last serious challenger was Byrd Brown in 1970 against William Moorhead, the great civil rights lawyer, Byrd Brown. And he was the president of the NAACP. So what's interesting about that is we've gone from Byrd in the 1970s now, and I'm not saying I'm like Byrd at all. I'm just saying we've gone from Byrd to today. And yes, as you mentioned, major prominent African-American leaders are coalescing around this candidacy. And we recently, just this week, unveiled a endorsement list of over 40 prominent African-Americans, legendary civil rights leaders such as Alma Speed Fox, endorsed my candidacy. Teron Jenkins, who was the attorney and then ran for DA. The Honorable Liv Bennett. The Honorable Brenda Frazier, the former Allegheny County Councilwoman. Johnny Mayotte, Billy Joe Jordan, Lewis Hop Kendrick. I mean, these are just, I like to think of it, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, right? These are prominent African Americans who have done such amazing work in the past and carved the path for other African Americans to follow suit. So I feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, and it's an emotional experience to have that much support from prominent African Americans in the region. And I think there's something special about that. It's a show of force in a region where today is one of the least livable regions for African Americans. There's a sign of hope that we can do better, we can aspire for greatness, and we're seeing that happen right now during this candidacy.
So you are getting the word out, you are getting your message out, your platform is out there, and we'll get your website information and all that kind of stuff before we're done. Because the other thing that you haven't been able to do is have a debate with the congressman, and in part because of social distancing, but then there's been a couple of other speed bumps along the way as well.
Yeah, so there is a debate that's going to be scheduled. That's scheduled for May 19th. The League of Women Voters, and I look forward to having a robust conversation and debate with Mr. Doyle about the current state of affairs and about our vision for this district moving forward. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, there's been a bump in the road. Mr. Doyle recently turned down and declined a debate request by the NAACP Pittsburgh chapter. And I'm disappointed in that, of course. I think it's imperative that we have a central forum where African-American issues can be debated, not to be shoehorned or at least placed into another broader debate discussion. Way too many issues right now as the least livable region for African-Americans to not have that as a central piece. And I hope Mr. Doyle reconsiders that as we move forward, because the people want to hear from us about how we're going to address these issues moving forward. And I certainly hope that he does that. But declining was not a good thing, not a good message and signal to the African American community about the issues that are ongoing.
And I also think, I mean, and kind of bringing this full circle from where we started, this is an interesting election year because it is a presidential race. And as African Americans, we have a lot at stake. We cannot afford. I was watching the Michelle Obama Becoming just the other night on Netflix. Yep. And one of the things she said was,
that's great.
Yeah, I mean, but one of the things she said was, it's the people who didn't come out to vote at all that she was so disappointed in.
Yeah, that's right. And here I think what we have is this amazing opportunity to, we're doing it already. We're generating buzz and interest. And people are saying to themselves, wow, there's an African American running for Congress who's raised almost $250,000, right? It hasn't done individual contributions. Someone who's a constitutional law professor, who's an advocate, who also understands the struggles that are ongoing in this district. And so when we have more representation who's running for office, you are going to see a stronger turnout. And I think Michelle Obama and many are right. But heading into this election year, we've got a demagogue in office with President Trump, and this is probably the primary reason to get out to vote. But also, too, realizing that voting would be getting out there and also knowing that African American issues can be addressed and they should be addressed, but you need the right energy and representation in Congress and at the state level as well in order to make a serious transformational change. And that's the difference here. We're inspiring people to be great. We are aspiring for greatness, and we want transformational change in the 18th Congressional District. And as you said, presidential election year, why not make this change now? So
I was going to say, we have a minute left. I was going to tell you, use it to your good. What do you want folks to walk away from this show with?
Well, so, as I mentioned, so you can go to jerrydickinson.com. There's information about the campaign there. We're always happy to have volunteers. We have 200 plus volunteers who have been working diligently on the campaign. But we really want people to take away that, aspire for greatness. We've been okay. We've been okay with Mr. Doyle, but we can be great and take this seat to the next level and address these issues that are ongoing in the African American community in the way that they should be. And we're talking about, long-term vision for this district. And what better way to have an African American congressperson in southwestern Pennsylvania, the middle of America, right? Hold this seat and be a big proponent and push for big policies. And I think that's great. But then at the same time, knowing that someone who comes from the foster care system, someone who's felt the pain and struggles of many and lives in an environment with family, that helps to influence policy. And that's extremely important in this era of politics.
All right. We'll be back in just a minute with some closing thoughts in just a minute. Don't go away. Tell you what, debates on TV are hard, but conversations are easy. Thanks to Jerry Dickinson for being our guest today. Next week, Congressman Mike Doyle is here. You can listen to both sides. You can figure it out on your own. After that, we're going to talk about mail-in ballots, so you don't want to miss a week of the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show. Join me tomorrow, 12 noon, KDKA Radio 1020. Lots to talk about. I'll talk to you then.